Go.
Hello? Oh my god, I was like waiting.
Oh, that's our jam.
Give me some body rolls, ladies. Some body rolls.
We're here.
We're here.
Hey guys, welcome to our Thursday evening space with Anything Goes with Morella and Julia. Thank you so much for joining us, you guys, tonight. We are here with special guests Karen Leslie and Heather Lioness Lindsay, and we promised you a treat, and what a treat is going to be. And in typical fashion, we didn't start too late tonight, but I want to thank all of you guys, our supporters, our loyal viewers. Thank you so much. Let us know who's watching. We're going to get to the comments. Want to thank Frequency 5 FM, Maria and Joseph, and we continue with our women's series, Inside a Woman's World. And I got to tell you, these ladies have got some compelling stories. And you know what I teased today, you guys? I said fear, vulnerability, I said anxieties, and I said you guys turned it all around, and now you're 150% fearless. And I said you're going to just let everybody know how you did it. Well, you don't know, but you are. Yes, you are. So how are you guys feeling?
Awesome.
Yeah, you feeling
Excited
good?
to be here. Yeah.
Yeah? How you feeling?
I'm feeling better now that I'm here after the nightmare 401 commute.
Yeah, I know. How was that?
It was pretty rotten.
Right?
Tonight, yeah. It was
So we
backed
gotta
up,
make it worth your while. We gotta make sure that after you leave tonight, you're gonna be like, that was worth every single kilometer.
It was worth.
That was my only goal.
Right?
My only goal. I call it Death Highway for a reason.
Oh, I know. It's way to hell.
That is the 400 series highway.
All of them.
All of them.
Mine was good.
How was yours? You were coming from the
Mine-
opposite
Yeah,
direction,
I was
right?
fine. It was really quick. It was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in typical fashion, you guys, I always tell you how we know our guests. And Karen Leslie and I and Julia, we met several months ago over the course of meeting all the lovely ladies and men from the Kitchener-Waterloo area, noting some of them, Kim Bassler, Kim Wilson, Linda McKinnon, Sheila Good, so many wonderful people.
Yes.
And I met Karen Leslie at the Hub Inc. event, and I got to tell you, we hit it off right away.
Yep.
And just a beautiful vibe. And Karen, in that evening, just meeting her for the first time, told me her story. And I got to tell you, I really appreciate and respect people that have gone through hell and back and can feel so vulnerable, but at the same time so powerful to be able to share a story. I would like to believe that I offered like a safe, trustworthy space where we were able to have that conversation, you know? But this is what tonight's show and all of our shows are about, not to feel afraid to share what you've gone through, because chances are there's a lot of other people that are going through the same thing, right? So I really appreciated that, Karen, just a lovely soul. Heather over here, she is an artist, and Heather Lioness Lindsay is kind of the name. And we had Aya Grade and Petra Grant on our show last year a few times, and they're reggae artists, and through them Julia and I met Heather, and then at Aya's event we met Heather in person, which is so nice because you know people online, and then you take it offline, and this instant connection.
I went for the music. Obviously, I support the music and I support my brethren in the music, but I came to meet you two. I said I have to come and meet you guys in person, even though it was an early night for me. I didn't stay past 1, I don't think.
We stayed till 4, so we
But-
represented.
It was
Nice.
yeah. I got onion rings out of the deal. It was awesome.
Oh, Julia, remember that night when we ended up ordering? We were all like trying to eat healthy,
it was so
and we
good.
ended up ordering. What did we order?
Can we
Chicken
get some
wings.
matzo sticks, wings, onion rings? Can we also get a side of onion rings with the onion rings? Thanks.
And then they offer it up for public consumption. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, just do it.
And Heather
Then we
and
just became-
Heather comes over. She's dancing. She comes over and she meets us, and she's dancing throughout the evening, and then she's dancing out of there when it was time. And that's what we're talking about. You know, music and dance is so good for the soul, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just very, very interesting. So let's talk before we get into parts of your stories, ladies. What would you say? How's the start of the new year been for you? You know, we're 2020. Did you make any resolutions? How's it been for you? We're in the third week. Would you say compared to or as a benchmark from 2019? How are you feeling about it?
I'd say a lot more encouraging. I chose a word for the year. I saw that somebody had picked a word for 2020.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I chose authentic.
I like that.
So that's not something I really truly think I've ever been before.
Yes.
So fearless, yes, because I'm stepping into
Yes.
really trying to find out who I authentically am.
Yes.
And so, so that's what I'm looking at for this year. So I don't know where that's going.
But it's powerful. And you know what? I'm going to quote our dear friend and resident guest on our show, Victoria Lorient Fabish, who's always talking about dimming our light or stop dimming our light, right? And when I met Karen, you talked to me about there were times in your life when they were dark, they were dismal, they were hopeless, and we're going to get into that. But over the last several months, as I've continued to get to know you and see you, you are coming into your own light.
I think so too. It's so exciting.
Right?
Actually.
Did you feel so good?
I do. I don't know who I am some days. My kids look at me and sometimes they'll just say, okay, so where's my mom? Who are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it startles me, but that's okay.
Look at camera 2 and tell our viewers who you are in 1 or 2 words. Who do you think you are in 1 or 2 words? And you can say it in comparison to where you were or how you want to be. But if you want your viewers to know you, who are you? What would you want to tell them?
I would say I'm actually the first word is dynamic
Yeah. Yeah.
and personable,
Yeah.
trustworthy,
Yes.
and as much as I hesitate, I think fearless.
I said it.
You did.
You are.
And when I came up to say hello to you, I knew very few people in that room. And for whatever reason, I walked up to you and Julia and
Yes.
stood beside you,
Yes.
even though I didn't know who you were.
Yes.
And I've never done that before.
And
That
we
was
stayed-
amazing.
And we
I
stayed
remember- I
together.
remember that.
I kind of stood there and went,
And we stayed
That's
together
the vibes,
all
though.
night.
They draw you to people.
And we
They
were
draw
talking
you.
about
Who
some
you're
very
meant to be
questionable-
connected to. They
Yeah.
really, I believe that with all my heart.
Maybe.
Who
Yeah.
you're meant to be connected
Good
to. you are
times.
drawn
Good
to them.
times.
100%. And it was the whole evening. And we left with an action item that you needed to come on this show.
Yes.
You needed to share this story, you know? So I think that's awesome. Heather,
Thank you.
same to you. If you had to describe your word for 2020 and also where you were in 2019 and what the first 3 weeks of 2020 have been for you, where are you at right now? What would you want the viewers to know about who you are and where you want to be?
Well, I've actually spoke on this with my coworkers a few times, and I said I've dubbed 2020 as the year of risk and transformation for myself. I've always held back from pursuing things that I consider risky, and that falls under the fearless. I might appear fearless, but inside, there's that churning anxiety and
Yes.
second thoughts, doubtful, So the transformation and risk is personal growth, physical and mental, emotional growth.
Yeah.
And the risk is just stepping outside my comfort zone. I have stepped out of it a lot. A lot of times, as my producer Eldazar will say, I've been drop kicked out of my comfort zone.
okay.
And thrived. Even in face of my own self-doubt, I've
Yes.
thrived and surpassed expectations
Yes.
because I just choked on it and said, okay, I'm going to do it, or you do it and like it kind of vibe.
That's it. That's it.
So I'm taking it on myself to be a little riskier with my development. Not so much risky like I'm not going to go out and run on the highway or anything, but
Bungee jump or
just
Let's go bungee jumping.
not
be fun.
pretending the fear doesn't exist, but working through it and moving forward despite the fear. So I guess courageous, because a lot of times
Courage,
people say
for sure.
courage is not the absence of fear, but pressing on through it.
That's very
So,
true. And you want to know
absolutely.
something? I want to give a shout out to my very, very dear and old friend Golnaragi, who I've known her for over 20 years. And she's a lovely soul. And a number of years ago, when I was in a funk and I was dealing with my own kind of stop dimming my own light, Golnaz and I had coffee together. We met at Starbucks. I'll remember this day. And she said to me, have you read the book, The Year of Yes? The Year of Yes. And I actually never ended up picking it up, reading it. But I was drawn to her description and premise of the book, which is the author writes about how she was having fear and anxiety and just second guessing herself and always looking for validation everywhere else. And instead of self-sabotaging and saying, you know what, I'm not doing it, I can't, or this isn't going to work out, I'm not going to go, I'm going to hate it or whatever. She took a year and said yes to everything that normally she would have like not. And you know what? She came into her own. She realized that, wow, that was a fun dinner party. Wow, that was fun meeting new people. Wow, I did okay. That was liberating. And she started to heal through all of that. Right. So that's what I did and I'm still doing that, right? So sometimes, as I posted the other day, we get in our own way.
Yes.
And we have to get out of our own way, right?
My producer would applaud you right now. Right now. He's said that to me many times.
Shout out to the producer.
Shout out to the producer.
How's England doing?
Like every person's definition of their own fear and what holds them back is so unique and different to them. Like when I go on stage and perform, I'm in my element. I come alive on stage, especially in Negril when I'm performing live on the beach in Jamaica, and I'm just loving life. I'm out there, I'm all over the place, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, I could never do that. You're so brave." And I said, "I don't think anything of it."
Right.
Because it's what I love to do and where I feel the most alive. But to them, it's terrifying.
It's when Julia and I go out dancing, or we go to music festivals, or we're singing in the car, or at home. We're alive. It brings out this wonderful feeling that it like when they say dance like no one's watching, but it's joyful. It is joyful, right? And who doesn't need more joy in their life?
Absolutely,
right?
Now I can't relate to the singing and dancing. However, I love to talk. Yes. So put me in front of 200 or 500 or whatever, and I will. That's when I come through.
Yes.
And then I can talk for an hour, 2 hours, and be fully engaged, and that's what I love. So to do yours, Heather?
So we're different. Same group of people, but I'd rather sing than talk.
So let me on first, introduce, do all that stuff for you. Right. Then you take over and I'll run and hide. Because I don't want to sing.
I'll run and hide. I want to share, we're going to get to the comments and see who's on, but I want to share, I asked both Heather and Karen to describe their journey and how far they've come and what was important to them to get to where they are right now. Okay? And I am going to...
I don't remember what I said.
Okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to get to the messages.
She's got the receipts. She's got the receipts.
I hope that I know I saved it, but here it is, okay? This is what Karen said, and it really moved me. And both of them, I wasn't surprised with what they said, okay? Karen, she says, I have lived my life in fear of judgment from others, including family. At first, when I began to speak about what I believed to be true, I was greatly criticized. Then, with recognizing that I was actually just picking up on the fears and anxieties of others, I could step more confidently into me. Now I have less, none, and when these perceived fears surface, I have tools to quickly change everything.
Yes, I did say that.
You did. And I got to tell you, it's a paragraph. It's powerful. It's just a few words, but it's so powerful. And when I read that, parts of it I could totally relate to. And I know that a lot of people could relate to it. I'm going to get to Heather. We're going to get to see who's on, and then we're going to dig very deeply into your stories.
Well, that paragraph was dynamic.
Wasn't it, though?
You presented that as a word that you would use, and that paragraph alone there's so many different facets of that. You could dig into that for days.
And her word is authentic for 2020. Yeah. And what that tells me is Karen Leslie is taking no crap. She's being her real authentic self, and if you don't like it, oh, well.
Damn straight. Can I get a snap in the chat? There we go.
Let's get an amen in the chat. No, but it's true.
The bend.
And that's very powerful. Okay. Heather, this is what Heather said. Let's get to Heather. I asked her the same thing, and she said, let me find it for a minute.
She's got the receipts.
No, I really do. I've got it all. Okay, here we go. She says, if I had to say right at this moment, it would be two things. Raising my daughter as a single mom and learning to trust my vulnerabilities as a singer-songwriter to perform on stage. Raising my daughter taught me selflessness, responsibility, and a fierce kind of love I'd never known before. Songwriting/singing taught me how to overcome fear, be more self-confident, and how sharing your pain can connect you in positive ways to everyone else.
Equally dynamic.
Holy
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I get to say it.
I
said it nice.
Where?
That adds a whole new dimension. No,
I mean, yeah, you
I'm
can.
getting my producers over in England going, no.
No, but
It's anything goes. You want to swear?
who cannot relate to what these ladies, wrote to me, right? When I asked the question, Julia, your thoughts on both of them and how you can relate in terms of your journey.
The one word, first of all?
Yeah.
Wow. Is all I have to say.
Yeah.
And honestly, it took a long time that, okay, I may not be a single mother or a mother or, but just being on the daughter perspective and seeing my mom raise me and my sister as a single mother and going through all the stuff that she's been through and, losing my dad and all of that, and then going through a whole depression of negative thoughts, things that I just didn't want to deal with, bad people, just hearing that kind of just like, you know what? We can get through it.
Yeah.
You two lovely ladies have, and I certainly hope that everyone watching and hearing it will feel the same way as well.
Here,
So,
here.
Amen, everybody.
That's so
and a
good.
snap to you.
Snap. We're snapping. We're snapping. Let's see who's on. We're gonna
a little
get to it. Oh, and Julia is in fact singing tonight.
No.
She doesn't have a choice, and Heather is also going to grace us with her beautiful voice. We didn't get a chance to listen to you at Fusion Lounge that night, but we are going to be in for a treat tonight for sure. And you know what? I really truly believe about when you're singing and you're songwriting and you're storytelling, you share a lot of you in your words that ultimately resonate with the people that are receiving it. Right? That's why there's certain, like, when I'm depressed, I listen to Adele. When I'm happy, I listen to Backstreet Boys. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's different artists and words and melodies that put you in certain, or make you feel what you're feeling. And you know what I'm saying? So when you're singing and you're songwriting or you're talking on stage, right? People can articulate through what you're saying. It's very powerful.
And that's one thing that came up a lot when people asked me why I like singing so much. And I said a big part of it for me is connectivity. If I can share what to me has been a lifelong painful experience and put it in song.
Yes.
And I'm singing it to the audience, and there might be one person in that audience that says, oh my God, I'm not alone anymore. She's gone through the same thing that I've just gone through. And so I've now connected to that person and made them feel like they're not alone. They've gone through the same thing or felt the same things.
Yes.
And now they have a voice, they have a way to feel about it.
Yes.
And that alone is worth the price of admission, as it goes.
We're going to get to the comments, but I'm going to ask you, and I do this sometimes, I always do a lead-in, so you can prepare for your answer if you like, but I want you to walk everyone through, Heather. I'm sure there's been lots of pivotal moments. There's not just one. But if you can think about one moment when you were on stage that really changed things for you, where you started to realize, like, wow, you know what? I'm making a difference for me and for other people, sharing your voice. So think about that for a minute, and we're going to see who's on. Kim Wilson, hi, lovely. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Lorena is on. Hi, lovely. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Vortex, also known as Yusuf from Dubai, is on. He says, hey, it's Thursday, baby. Let's go. Absolutely.
It's always a good night on Thursday nights. Am I right?
Thursday night, anything goes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Doris is on. Hey, lovely Doris. She says, good evening, beautiful ladies. Yusuf says, how are you all doing? Priscilla Susa is on. Hi, lovely. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. She says, good evening. Hello from San, am I saying it right? San Miguel Island. Love this show. Priscilla, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. She says, we've got the best topics. Thank you so much. And you know what? When we get feedback like that, that's what it's all about, right? Because we know that we are, we're being real. We're being, as you say, authentic. And Julia and I speak about our experiences. We're not just saying, oh, everybody else talk about your stuff because we got nothing to say. We put all of our experiences out there as well because we want people to know that we're all just human. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. Kim Bradshaw,
That's my friend.
Go, Karen. You are fearless. She is.
Yes,
Thank you so much
Karen.
for tuning in. Doris says, nice topic. Priscilla says, fantastic. Christine Grauer, lovely Christine Grauer, who I also met that night at Hub Inc. She's lovely. She says, hello, lovely ladies. Karen Leslie is watching. So is Julia Scalise.
I mean,
Thank you,
I don't know who Julia
Marla
is.
shared the stream. Thank you
never
so
met her in
much. We've got Susan Lucente Rizzo is watching. Thank you so much, Susan, for tuning in. Vortex says, Frequency 5 FM, I'm doing well. Thank you. So glad to hear that. Jimmy, how are you? Jimmy is one of our, well, they're all our favorites, but Jimmy is our resident comic and loyal supporter. He's always got great insights, and he always brings a lot of comedy into everything that we're talking about. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for tuning in.
We love you, Jimmy.
Vortex says, love the singing. Yes, and there's going to be a lot of singing tonight. Lorena says, yes, Julia, you didn't sing last Thursday night. You're
Stop
not going to
keeping
miss
tabs.
it. You're not
Stop
missing it tonight.
keeping tabs.
Keep tabs.
Okay, well, sing the happy birthday song. I don't know whose birthday, but happy birthday to you. That's it.
I'm just going to interject about the facing your fears thing. My phone actually remembered my password.
Oh,
So
wow.
I just overcame a huge fear to log in on it.
That's amazing.
Ask
See?
Newton how
It's
little
working.
I work on my
The
phone. He's
therapy
always
is
so
working on
frustrated.
Thursday nights.
Right?
Awesome.
Lorena says, Julia is singing tonight. I'm with you, girl. Absolutely.
It remembered my password.
Renato is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in, Renato. He says, hello, ladies.
Hello, Renato.
Excuse me. We've got, Lorena says, hi, you know I'm a true supporter. Yes, you are. Lorena says, and I'm good, and you beautiful ladies. Kim Bassler, excuse me, is watching. Hey, lovely, how are you? Kim's going to be joining our Tuesday night space next Tuesday night with her segment on health and fitness and overall mental mindset. She's going to be awesome. I've heard her speak a few times. She is absolutely vibrant, very riveting. You guys do not want to miss it. We've got Julie Strickler. Thank you so much for tuning in. She says, hello, ladies.
Hello.
We have Leo Lemaire. Leo, how are you? Also one of our favorite people. He says, you are my inspiration, one I can draw strength from. Thank you so much. You know what, Leo? Thank you so much. This is exactly why we do what we do. Kim says, hi, ladies. Jimmy says, singing and dancing. And
Mom's
Julie
going to be doing
says-
the dancing. She's going to be getting up. She's also going to be broadcasting her new lap dance. So super excited to be showcasing that tonight, guys.
That
on
would
Anything Goes. So
entail
stay
that I
tuned to the
actually
end to
have a
see
new
that.
lap dance to unfold, which I don't.
I did not sign up for that.
No, neither did I. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you
Thanks
didn't
a lot.
know? You didn't read the
not
text?
Sign up for lap. I did not.
Well, now you're here. You have to do it.
I
bring
signed-
my belly dancing
I
shirt,
signed
okay?
nothing. Okay, I'm just going to tell you right now. Julie says, first time watching. Julie, thank you so much. So just to give you a little bit of a quick update. So Julie and I are almost hitting 1 year anniversary of our Thursday night Anything Goes show. You can go onto my Facebook page. You can go onto Frequency 5 FM. You can go onto YouTube. You can catch replays. We talk about all kinds of different topics, and we've had so many compelling, wonderful, dynamic guests on the show. And then just 2 weeks ago, we debuted our Anything Goes to Business edition on Tuesday night, 7:30, where we have industry experts and business professionals. We still have fun. We still bring out the personality, and we provide a lot of insights and a lot of information, and hopefully a lot of value on different topics. So thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, Heather Linus Lindsay is watching.
Hello.
Kim Bassler says, Karen, so incredible to see your heart showcased on this show.
Thanks, Kim.
You got so many
so
supporters,
nice.
honestly. Lorena says there's going to be lots of dancing and singing tonight. Lorena's keeping tabs.
I'm
okay?
telling you, lap dance. All
Kim
three
says,
of you.
Marla and Julia, love
I'm
you
the
both.
judge.
Right back at you, girl. I really, honestly, like, it's such a fantastic community, and that's exactly why we do what we do. And I got to tell you, my own journey, and Julia can speak to this too, meeting so many heart-centered people that have been so open and very vocal about what they've gone through has been a big part of the therapy and a big part of healing, right? Because we're not alone.
Absolutely.
We're not alone. So, Heather, let's talk about, you know, I'm sure you've had so many wonderful moments, but walk us through a time when you're on stage or you're doing your thing and you knew that you were reaching people.
Oh man. I don't know if there's one specific.
There's lots of times,
like,
right?
As far as reaching people on the level that we were speaking of before,
Yes.
that connectivity. Like people have come up and said they love my vibe. They really felt what I was singing. As far as reaching people, it's more a collection of events between like singing at festivals here and singing on the beach in Negril. Negril's my place.
Yes.
But-
Negril's your place.
And I said in the beginning of my singing career that I would be satisfied with the recognition as an artist. Like anything up from there would be gravy for me. But being able to walk into a venue and have other artists recognize me as a fellow singer that would be valuable to me. And I'm there. Nice. Now so when I go to Negril, so it's more of a collection of experiences. It's very satisfying to know that when I go to Negril, I go to Alfred's or Roost Bamboo or Boat Bar, Rick's Cafe.
Guys, we're going to Negril.
And
Negril, everybody. I think we all need to go to Negril.
Drifters Cafe.
Good. Right? Yeah. Let's do it.
Other singers see me come in and call for me to come up and sing. And that recognition, especially in Negril in Jamaica, is so amazing to me. So I know I'm reaching people on the level that I'm an artist. I'm here to sing. I'm here to work with you and vibe with you. And they're seeing that side of me now. Right?
When would you say, you talk about, feeling vulnerable and feeling afraid and getting out of your comfort zone, right? Walk us through a time in your life where you would say that, I don't want to say a low point. I know, I've had low points, but I don't even describe them as low points. I describe them as stepping stones. They had to be. For you, what would you say was a catalyst in your life that really smacked you awake, where you realized that, you know what, you're going to be okay. You got so much to do. You have a real purpose. When would you say that happened for you?
I can think of two very distinct times. I can choose one or the other.
Yeah, or both, however you like to.
Okay. The first one I'd have to say is having my daughter. My daughter Danielle, she calls herself.
Hi Danielle.
Hi Danielle.
Hi Danielle.
I'm the only one who calls her Danielle. Her friends don't even know
sorry,
her real
Danielle.
name. She goes by Danny.
Hi Danny.
I didn't mean it like you did something wrong. I just she had an 18th birthday sleepover and all her friends were there and I called her. I said, "Hey Danielle, are you gonna do such and such?" They're like, "Who's Danielle?" I'm like, "You're in our home. You're sleeping over, eating our food.
It's your
and
friend.
You don't know her name." And she goes by Danny. And in grade school, she dubbed herself my cub.
Oh,
because I'm lioness. So
okay.
Now she is my cubby, and that's our thing, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Hi.
Sorry, I have to move that
thing creeping towards me. Having my daughter. Oh boy. Okay. So a little backstory without getting way too personal. I lived a couple years on the streets in Toronto after a huge falling out with my father and the stepmother. Right. Which actually segued to the next one I'll talk about. I don't know where I would have been in this life if I hadn't have had my daughter when I did. She completely turned my life around. She gave me a sense of direction that I just didn't have. I was sleeping on park benches, bathing in the bus station, panhandling for food, in and out of shelters, and I had no direction, no idea where I was going to go or what I was going to do. Having her, and of course I ran home to Mama. Came back to Oshawa, where everything was familiar to raise her and stuff, and the support network was there. And without her, I don't know what would have ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And some people will sit there and ask me, like, have you ever imagined what life would be like without your daughter? I said, how can you ask me to do that?
Of course.
You're asking me to imagine a life without my child in existence, and I can't imagine my life without
her. Greatest blessing for you, the greatest joy. How could you?
Exactly.
You couldn't even fathom it.
She was unplanned. But the best thing that ever happened to me. She was the North Star, right, for me.
And I got to tell you something. I was going to ask you down the road or in the next few minutes, where did the middle name Lioness come from? Mm-hmm. And you've actually answered my question.
It's actually my nickname.
But I love it. But to me, Lioness represents a testament of strength, a testament of not power, but a testament of fighting for survival and thriving, right? And I was going to ask you that. And even without getting into your second story yet, which we do want to hear, but just talking about your first story about living on the streets and not knowing like where your next meal was going to be and what have you. A lioness is very powerful, but you don't even know that you might be. That you don't even know how strong you are.
It took me a lot of years to grow into the name, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the name, because I had an affinity for lions. I collect lions. And in the Rastafari culture, the lion and lioness are the king and queen.
Yes.
And they represent the royalty.
Yes.
So I adopted that into my persona, and it stuck. So I kind of grew into it as far as the fierceness and loyalty to my child and my family ties and everything. I grew into the
I told
title,
you she was
right?
fierce. I said it. I think I used that word.
You have no idea. So that was the biggest pivotal moment, was having my daughter. She absolutely changed my life 100% for the better. She was my North Star. She guided me into so many bigger and better things about myself that I didn't even know were possible. Because when this little tiny thing is dependent on you for every breath.
Yes.
You really have to step up to the plate and take care of them, right? So
I think we need to give Danielle,
my cubby,
some applause. Some applause.
My baby.
Applause.
Well, who turned? Happy birthday to her on February 17th. She turns 30. The
Word.
Okay,
big 3
hold on.
Happy
Hold on.
birthday.
Wait. You know what that means?
There, Julie.
I don't know what I'm.
No, you have to sing.
I can't. Not to this song. This song is hold on.
This was your favorite.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
That's okay.
Because mom has embarrassed her once again. No, because mom has embarrassed
Okay,
her.
now we're gonna she's turning 30. It's a special birthday,
Yes.
Julia. You need to do the a cappella version, just like you did for Andrew last week.
Still always get what?
No,
Why are you so
Lorena
apologizing?
wants
Don't-
it, Jimmy, and so does
Hey,
everybody
well,
else. Go.
Will do. Here we
Okay,
go.
Here we go.
On deck, madame.
Here we go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Danny. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, we need the applause.
Yes.
Wicked.
Yes. Do you see why everyone wants her to sing?
Right?
Come on.
And look at the hesitation. She gives you so much grief
She's
over
like, I
doing
can't.
it.
I'm nervous. I can't.
know,
and then
but
she
look at
knocks it
her.
out of the park every single time. She's
She's
this
overheated. She just needs some water. Okay.
She sure is.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Okay.
So that was the younger pivotal moment. I had her just before I turned 19, so it was like a young experience for me.
Right.
And the second one, hopefully I can tell you this without getting choked up.
Yeah, of course.
So I had a falling out with my father when I was 15-ish. Around 16 is when I ended up on the streets.
Right.
My mom was in South America on a cruise ship as part of her training program that she had done, tourism.
Okay.
So she wasn't home, and just everything fell apart. My family would, there's still, it's the elephant in the room, right? But over the years, I opened the door for my daughter. Like I said, I'm not going to stand in the way of you getting to know your grandfather, because my brother maintained a good relationship with him, and she
Right.
got into her teenage years and she wanted to get to know grandpa. And I said, I'm not stopping you. I have nothing. I said, my problem with him is not your problem.
Right.
I've never
right.
poisoned you. I've never spoke bad of him. Just I have my issues. They are not your issues.
Right. Feel
Feel free to, So she got to know him over the last year of his life through my brother, and he became ill, and he had a few heart attacks over the course, and it was really difficult for me to even have to think about whether I should go to the hospital or not. It was such a hard moment. Like that was a down moment for me.
Yeah.
And the last one, the major heart attack that ended up taking his life, he was in the ICU in Oshawa. He lived in Oshawa. And his wife wouldn't let me near him.
Really?
She was the poison to my air. Like this woman was the poison
She
to my
wouldn't
air.
allow you
She
to
would
say-
not allow me to have 2 seconds alone with him. She was pathologically jealous of our relationship. So it was really hard. I just couldn't be in the room with her no matter what the circumstance. I had to leave. And thankfully, my friend Sue worked in the ICU, and she called me at home and said, Heather, there's nobody here if you want to come. So
Right.
Danielle and I went, and we got the 10 minutes in the ICU and everything.
Yes.
And it was like everything just fell away. Like we had that 10 minutes, and it was like I was daddy's girl again. I love you.
Yes.
I heard I love you from him for the first time in 15 years.
Wow.
And we laughed, and and it was just that moment that we had, that window. And
I know.
I'm not sure whether it made it easier or harder that he'd passed after, because soon after that he was gone, and it was like there was that little glimmer of hope of reconciliation, and then he was gone.
I'm so glad you had those 10 minutes.
I'm so thankful. My friends
Yeah.
too,
That
like God
you
bless
had-
her for calling me and saying he's alone if
that
you want
moment,
to come.
that bond, those words, the feelings, everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just to hear him say I love you after 15 years.
Wow.
You know, after so long.
That's a gift.
That we'd been at odds. I don't know what the term is.
Estranged.
Yeah. And you know, and the family, like my mom, she stopped mediating years ago because she understood that it wasn't going to help.
Yes.
And my brother never really understood the dimensions of it because he maintained a relationship with my father.
Of course.
I said, well, you don't know the kind of rejection I got from him as a daughter.
And that's what I want to ask you. Sorry to interrupt you. This is what I want to ask you as you're telling the stories. I wanted to know what, not even lessons, but if you had to talk about the lesson that you learned that you were supposed to learn over the course of time with this relationship and situation with your father, what do you think it would be? You know, ultimately after, like, knowing that you had your 10 minutes with him and then he, you know, passed. And then the same for the second scenario, or the first scenario, where you talked about, you know, living on the streets after having a falling out with your family, having a daughter, being a young mom. What do you think the lesson was for you to learn during the course of that time as well?
With Danielle, like raising her, it was learning to trust my instincts and to not be so fearful that I was messing up all the time.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's a baby.
I don't even think I still know what I'm doing. Am I doing a good job, Julia? You think?
Guys, she's chained me up in the basement with chains. This is my first day out in 5 days. I call help now. This is my last chance to speak out.
So much.
The real truth is, I've never disciplined this kid in her entire life.
I mean,
never
there was this
grounded
one time
her.
when we went to Zellers. Shout out to Zellers.
Zellers.
Bring it back because we love Zellers. Yeah. We went to Zellers.
Yeah,
and
tell the story.
And I was basically like, Mom, I want this this Barbie truck, like this truck thing.
The camper van?
It was something like that.
Yeah. The camper van.
I played with my hamster in that camper van.
Stop! Oh my God. And I was like, Mom, can I get this? And she's like, no, Julia, put that down right now. I swear to God, we came here for one thing, not for that, okay? And I'm just like,
with the face.
But then I would do the sad face. Okay, guys, everybody, this is the face.
Yeah.
Oh.
The face.
It worked
and then,
every time.
No. But then after she's like,
recognized it.
Put it in the thing. We'll see. Right? And then I'd be like, okay, fine. And then I did something bad because I broke something. And then she's like, I swear to God. Let's just say that the punishment was buying me that.
Oh, God.
Because
I was so soft.
Because I'm like,
so
Mom, I'll be good. And she's like, looking at me. She's like, we're going to go see the prize, okay? We're going to go see the prize. And I'm just giving her this face like,
did you have the look?
Like
the look.
Yeah, like
she
so when she was trying
way.
to scam me to buy something that we didn't need and
there
she
was
didn't
two faces.
need, I give her this face like, because I didn't want to like.
But then there's
make
the other
a scene.
face.
I'd be like, no, I'd have that face like, put it away.
But
it was
do
that face,
like the little
right?
thing like this.
But then all of a sudden it changed to, all right, just put it in the buggy, we'll see. And then it was kind of like, you know what I mean?
I mean the look. Like my mother would come home with the look, and my brother and I would just go to our room.
No, okay, no.
Yeah,
I've never grounded my
it.
kids, and they never even wanted to go to their room unless it was like just to hang out.
I
and
give
have
the
fun.
look to people I don't want to talk to.
Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
just like this.
Absolutely.
It still
Can you
works.
not?
My mother can shut me up with one look.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
My guys.
I would want to say that you know, a child's upbringing is obviously very important into later on in life as we become adults. I think it's very, very important. And there's a lot of families that are not perfect. Like, what family is perfect?
Oh, gosh.
You just touched on my thoughts, and that was part of what I was leading into is realizing that it's not the things you buy or what color the outfit is. You really learn in hindsight what the more valuable things is. Instead of buying them all the crap, spend the time.
Right.
They're going to remember you guys giggling in the park in a puddle over 10,000 gifts.
And can I say something, Heather? Julia recounting that story with the doll at Zellers.
I always tell that
You
story.
know why I'm so fond of the story? It's not so much that, okay, she got her way and I bought her the doll, okay?
I was 7, guys, okay?
It's because she remembers it. She remembers it. We laugh about it. She remembered that time with her mom in Zellers. And that's really what it's all about, because ultimately you're going to remember the times, the lessons, the love, the words with your family. You're never, look, last time I checked, my parents have always been so generous with me at Christmas and my birthday and stuff. I don't remember necessarily the gifts. I remember their love. I remember their just warm support for my whole life.
And that's the most valuable thing, and you really do learn that over the years.
Right?
What matters to the kid, like, let's get dressed up in our rain boots and go splash around outside.
Exactly.
And she is so happy to get muddy and dirty. I said, that's what showers are for, kiddo. Get in your slushers and go.
My kids are in their 20s and they still want to do that.
Yeah, are you kidding? Oh my god. Look at that pile of mud. So
the pile of mud.
So fun.
Mud is fun.
Pile of mud.
Mud is fun.
Mud is fun.
Mud is fun.
So we're going to come back to you, Heather, because we're going to dissect it a little bit more. You've got a lot of layers, as I knew you would, to your story, because you know what? It's these are pivotal moments you're walking us through. These are catalysts, but they did form your journey to where you are right now, right? So we're going to come back to you. I want to get to Karen.
Yes.
And Karen, if I may say, we met for the first time at this event, as I mentioned earlier in the show, for anybody that missed it. And Karen, Julia, and I, we gravitated to one another right away. And she stayed with us for most of the evening. And before we left, I said to her, "You got to come on our show." Okay. One thing she told me, you got to remember, I just met Karen. We've known each other now 30 minutes. Maybe 45, maybe 60 minutes, maybe 70 minutes, okay? And while we were both looking at the desserts on the table, and I was like, I absolutely cannot have that red velvet cake, okay? Absolutely not, but it looks so good. Karen told me that she is a suicide survivor. And she told me that, And I stood there, and I was like, I wanted to hug her, which I did. I wanted to just make her feel like everything is going to be okay. And all of a sudden, in that single moment, the level of my connection with her instantly leveled up, if you will, because she just met me and we were talking about each other's stories, each other's journeys. And it's not something that you just meet somebody and go, I contemplated suicide, and how are you enjoying the evening, right? Like, it's like me saying, I had a really crappy Tinder date last night, but how's your evening going, even though I'm very open about my Tinder dates. But the point is that...
My condolences.
I know. That's a whole other segment. Jermelin, where are you at?
But, I was going to say, that's the other show.
But Karen was very open about it. And so I would like for you to tell people... I know you spoke at Momentes. I was there. I heard you. We've spoken a few times. We've had people on the show that have gotten to the point where they felt that things were so hopeless that there was no other way out. From your vantage point, what was it about your life that you got to that point in your life where you felt that, I'm not happy and there's got to be something better and it's not here? And you contemplated going that route. If you don't mind, just kind of walking people through the journey.
No, I don't mind at all. I don't know. Thank you. It was my whole life. So I've just never wanted to be here. I arrived, I'm sure, because I almost died at 3 months of age, thinking this is not for me. This is a mistake. I need to leave. So I have times throughout my whole life where I was thinking of suicide. It was just...
From a young age?
From a young age.
Right.
A very young age. A bunch of my childhood is black. Mm-hmm. There is no memories, and so that, led a lot of people to think I probably was in a lot of abuse and things like that, and that was not the case. It was just so difficult to be here and to be in this body and with my family.
In the moments?
That I just didn't want to be here, so it's blank. Like I remember things through pictures
Right.
and stories.
Right.
And I was very nervous meeting you. I don't remember the red velvet cake, but I'll take your word for it.
There was.
Oh, there was.
There was.
The
Kim
the
Wilson.
vegan thing,
Kim
the
Wilson will
vegan
vouch
dip
for that.
thing.
No,
Oh, that stuff was good.
yeah. But so I just never felt like I belonged. I never understood how to make my days work.
Right.
Like
Right.
I was just so worried about judgment, and I received a lot of judgment in my home, and
What kind of judgment, Karen?
just never good enough. Like I wanted to take gymnastics,
Right.
right?
I love gymnastics. Who doesn't like gymnastics?
I really
Want
wanted
to show us some moves?
Not tonight.
another
Thank
night.
you.
But
Thank
I was
you.
told, no, you're too old. You'll never make like a provincial team or a Canadian team. So no,
You're too old.
you know,
Yeah.
I took skating lessons. I had real trouble skating backwards. So next thing I know, I'm out of skating lessons. So it was, you either did it really, really well,
Yes.
or you don't do it.
Yes.
And I was just an average kid, so I didn't do a lot of things really well. Average grades, average whatever, you know. But I was always
And I want to say too, just going back to, I mean, you can relate. This can be in any situation, but this week, Tuesday night, Joseph Stetter, who was our business professional, he was talking about how he reached a goal at his work. He superseded everybody. He reached it, but he propositioned. He made a pitch, and he said, if I do this, this, and this is what I propose. Like we do for the employees and whatever. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said his boss or the manager told him that's not going to work. Like not even a word of encouragement, not even,
Right.
you know what? I don't know that it would fly, but you know what? Give it a try and let's see how it goes. You uplift people, you empower people. You are supposed to be there for people. You do not shoot them down before they even, again, I'm very passionate about this. I could go on all night, but, we have two lovely guests here and nobody wants to hear me talk. But the point is that it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And Joe had that tenacity where he was like, you know what? It's going to work now even more than before because you are challenging me. You're not uplifting me. And I'm going to do this despite the fact that you're trying to bring me down. Now, that's in a business setting where people are just working together. But imagine already getting knocked down without ever getting, on the ice or, doing gymnastics from your own family. You know what I'm saying?
well, it was just normal, right? So I did
Normal for you.
Yeah,
and-
but I didn't know any difference, and it was more actually after I had my children that's actually, and sorry children if you're watching this,
Hi, children. Hi, children.
that the suicidal thoughts escalated.
Oh, after your children.
After my children,
Okay.
because I was told even more so by many people that the way I was raising them was wrong, that I was harming them.
Did you suffer postpartum depression?
No, not too bad.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, to be perfectly honest, I didn't, like when you were talking, Heather, and the joy when your daughter arrived, I didn't.
Is it wrong that makes me angry for you?
No.
It
But
just
doesn't-
like as a woman and as a human being, it makes me angry for you that you were shot down right out of the gate like that. That you
No,
were
I
forced
was-
to
And
deal
you
with
know
that
what, I'm-
kind of vibe.
It was
I'm-
just like, we
Yeah,
chose
yeah.
to have home births and homeschool and family bed. And I mean, I nursed my children until they were like 3 years old. And so, sorry, boys. This is out in the public now.
the boys are like, no, mom.
It's okay. It's okay. We love your mom.
But it was always, like, at one point, my parents threatened legal proceedings to take our children away
really
because of my choices, or my husband and I, our choices, how to look after them. So the more I ran into this, the more I was buying into that I was harming my boys. And I would just lie in my husband's lap, sobbing, saying, I'm hurting them more than anything else. Like, you're a good dad. You can do this. You don't need me.
What were you doing though that your family thought you were harming your children? So in other words, like if somebody says, "Well, Brella, bottle feeding's okay, but you should really breastfeed because it's much healthier," and that's up to interpretation. It's everybody's choice.
For sure.
But whether you're bottle feeding or breastfeeding, you're giving the best to your children. What was it that your family thought you were doing that it was so terrible that you were hurting your children? Like,
They just really thought I was harming them, that they were not going to be able to grow up and be
that you were stunting their growth in some way,
mentally,
mentally.
emotionally.
Right.
Yeah, just the
Wow.
whole thing. Like I was really harming my boys.
Talk about your classic deflection, though, because in my world and in my experience, the ones accusing are the ones doing.
Oh, we call those
yeah.
gaslighters. My favorite
sit there
term.
and say things like that
yeah.
to you, it's because they know they're guilty of doing it to you.
Well, it was very
Very good point.
it was very much the opposite, right? My mom
Very
was
good
told
point.
she couldn't nurse, she couldn't breastfeed, that she had no milk, and my birth was just everything was just the exact opposite of what I was doing, and I know now how much my mom suffered and how much she was unwell, and
Right.
her difficulties. Then I didn't know.
You nailed it, Heather, right? And that was kind of and what I want to say to you guys is when I'm listening to Karen tonight and also when I was listening to you that evening, you know what came to me? What feeling overcame me about your life? I want to use the word isolation. Okay? I want to use the word isolation, that it wasn't even about others isolating themselves from you. It was about how you felt isolated from the rest of the world. Right? Like you were living in just a bubble of isolation. I'm thinking about like walking in a dense fog and not really sure which way you're going to go, and you're just existing. You're not really living. You're not really, and I can't imagine that, but to hear it and for you to have gone through it for so long, it does really bother me. It affects me because you're such a beautiful person, and we're getting
Ain't that
very
the truth?
emotional right now, but it's so true. And then I also want to say that at Mom Monday's Waterloo, I spoke that night.
And you did
Karen,
beautifully.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And you did amazing. Karen got up
fantastic.
there, and I got to tell you guys, if I didn't know her story and I didn't tell you exactly how I've been feeling this story come to life for me, I would say, wow, like compelling, what a storyteller put together. And you are all those things. You are all those things. But you paid your dues. You know what I'm saying? To get here. So let's not fast forward, but let's walk us through to the point where you have your children. You continue going through this. You're an adult now. You're still feeling these feelings of, I don't want to be here. Why am I here? How did that work for you? How did that
No, I actually want to be here now.
Now you do.
I do.
Yes.
I want to be here.
Yes, queen.
Now you do. Yes.
Now I do.
But at your dark, like, how did you know? Why did you know? What happened where you were like, I give up? Like,
which I give up. I want to leave, or I'm
I want to
prepared
leave. Yeah,
As I say, it was constant.
it was.
It was constant. It peaked. It had times where it was really bad, and I would literally lie in bed and think, how do I get rid of my family so I can? Because I didn't want to take my life in front of them or with them. I wanted to be on my own.
Yeah.
And I had tried very hard at times to set up that equation, but similar to you, Heather, like my children saved my life, because, and I've said this to them, that I didn't want children. I wanted no children. We married agreeing no children, and then now I have 3 amazing boys. But every time truthfully, whenever I got really close, something would happen with one of the boys that I would have to rally and say, okay, not now. I have to be there for them.
Yeah.
And so they've had a number of difficult times themselves. And so was it their connection to me? Did they, But truly, when I was really close, my boys either needed a surgery or had a concussion,
Right.
or something.
They were signs.
happened.
They were
That's
signs.
the universe
No,
telling
they
you
were
it's not your
signs.
time
Yep.
and you don't need to go.
And you know what that's telling me as well, that and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, is that you went through a life of, I'm not wanted, I'm not needed, I don't know how to be needed, I don't know how to be wanted, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, as you're close to potentially ending it all, you were needed. You were desperately wanted and needed, and that's what happened, right?
Yep.
But how amazing is it what you said? Kind of like I had to,
Yeah, I know.
But how amazing is it that even in the midst of your pain, that was so incredible that you wanted to save them from pain?
Yeah.
That
Thank you.
that took my breath away.
That's
I just
right.
was like,
That's right.
I don't even know what to think right now.
It's a mother's
But
love.
how amazing is it that even in the midst of your pain, you wanted to save them
Yeah.
from pain?
And I'd never really thought never thought about that before, Heather, because I've always questioned actually how strongly connected I am to my boys. I always worry that I'm not there enough. because of, how isolated is an awesome
Yes.
word.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the fact that you put it that way, you felt isolated rather than somebody else isolated you. It was internal.
Yes.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
Yes.
even more powerful so.
Yeah.
Because it's internal, you can't fight outside.
This hits
Yes.
home more than you guys know. Well, you guys know, but this hits home for me. And I use the word isolated on purpose because that's how I felt when my husband suddenly died. And I felt very isolated. I felt lost. I felt despondent. And all I kept thinking about was how the heck am I going to get through this for my daughters? How? Right? And then in the end, or ultimately throughout the journey, it wasn't a matter of how am I going to be there for my daughters. It was my daughters got me out of isolation. They salvaged me from me being my own worst enemy. I often talk
Yes,
about getting out of
yes.
my own freaking way. What took me so long, right? But it's a journey, right? It's a journey. And you worry about your children. A mother's love, a parent's love, a father's love, it's immeasurable, right? What we do for our children. But our thoughts, thinking, overthinking, the anxiety,
Oh my God,
the
don't get me
mental
started.
health of things. Yeah, like
Oh my God.
really,
it takes over. It takes over, right, Julia? So when in fact I felt like I'm alone, I'm isolated. How am I going to do this? But in reality, there were so many other people that were going through so many similar things, right? You open yourself up. The universe brings you people that will teach you things, that will show you things, that will allow you to say, wow, okay, I'm not alone. We're support for one another.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's why I asked you guys, I asked Heather and Karen, you too, to a certain extent, what do you feel, everything that you've gone through to where you are right now, what was a lesson you needed to learn, do you think? Why did all of this happen?
I'm actually worthwhile.
Yes. Can we get an applause? You are actually worthwhile. You are worthwhile.
Thank you.
You're more than worthwhile.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm 61. It took me 59 years
Wait,
to
what?
think about.
I know,
Yeah, I'm 61.
No way.
right?
Yeah.
What?
61. Yes. Thank you, Joseph. Right? What? Here's
No
the 61.
way. I thought you were
I
younger
know.
than that.
I know.
What? No, I'm not saying that it's old, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to say. I thought you were younger than that.
Let's take
Wow.
a quick break. I just want to.
Holy.
A lot of
The
a lot of
more you
people-
know, ladies
Yeah,
and
because I
gentlemen.
need to think about that.
Okay, you think about that. Did I tell you I was going to ask easy questions tonight? We've got.
I mean, there was questions, but very hard answers.
Anything but questions, did she? Not easy.
What
just
can
said
I
charge the
say?
phone.
What can I say? Okay, hold on a second. We've got Marka is watching. Hi, Marka. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Lorena says, Julia, you don't have to. I'm just kidding around, girl. She has to. Don't even let her off easy. She has a gorgeous voice.
Guys, please stop.
Vortex says, how dare you, Morella, tying her with chains. I know. I don't even know where to
She
find
doesn't even
chains. But
feed
anyway.
me. The only time she fed me was with dog kibble, with
Yeah.
some kind of dog food. And
Hey,
let
one
me
of my
tell you-
sons actually really likes dog.
Stop.
I was
My poor
guilty.
boys after this.
I was guilty of not looking at the sugar
I'm not
content of
judging
certain
you.
foods and drinks,
My
and I
brother
stocked
used to
up
eat
the
milk
fridge.
bones. My brother used to eat milk bones.
That's what. Yes, that's
Wait,
what he
eat
liked too.
what?
It's nothing
Milk-
like picking up your
milk-
little boy
milk
and
bones.
he
He
smells
used
like
to eat them
milk
as a
bones
snack.
and dog
So
milk
biscuits.
bones.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
we used to
oh
do
my
them as a
God.
gag gift at Christmas.
can't.
We'd give
I
him
can't
milk
even-
bones
Wait,
in
what
his
the heck
stock.
is a milk bone?
It's a dog
It's a
biscuit.
dog biscuit. A treat.
You love dogs. You don't know.
Oh, I don't own one, so I wouldn't know to go out and buy milk bits.
I
and
know. I
bones
know
or
you want one
whatever.
though. I know you want one
I don't
though.
know. I only know,
I used to think, oh, it's teeth.
I know.
Yeah.
You know huskies
Purina.
and I
Purina
know.
Smart. Shout out to Purina.
Jimmy says, "What a sweet mom," and that goes for all the moms here. Leo says, "Lucky you didn't have to kneel on pencils." Yes.
Oh gosh.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Leo, I can't
wouldn't know,
even.
maybe. I
I
believe
can't
it.
even imagine, honestly. Like, just.
No.
I don't know, like the abuse that people have to go through sometimes. Just talk about mental, emotional. I can't. You know, it's terrible.
It's too much.
Leo says, you have raised an amazing daughter. Good on you, Heather. Dawn Herdman is watching. Hi, Dawn. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Jody Iris is on. She says, hello, beautiful ladies. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Maria, Frequency 5 FM, is watching. She says, hi, ladies.
Maria,
It's a story.
Sorry,
That's
I
all
don't
I know.
I just don't know.
Christine Grauer says, I loved Zellers, right? We used to go to
Zellers is
all the
amazing.
time.
we used to go to the Zellers Diner on Saturday afternoons. That was
yes.
our thing.
Oh my god! Or the best was like in the middle of like the aisles. You'd see like that big like grate bin with like the bouncy balls in
Oh,
it and
yeah.
all like
Yeah.
other junk
I
that people would
know.
hide. So and just so no other customer will buy it, they shove it in there. And you go in there like
You would do that all the time.
it's on hold.
Vortex says exactly. Their love is what matters the most. Yes, very true. Oh, Vortex says mud is fun. Quote of the year, Heather.
Hashtag mud is fun, guys. Mud is
Mud
fun.
is fun. Frank Nastasi is watching. Hey,
Hello,
Frank. How
Frank.
are you? Hope all is well. I am planning on seeing you tomorrow morning. Catching
You
up.
have time to,
Lena
fill me
Bartolini
in?
is watching.
I need my
Hi.
hair.
How are you, Lena? Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks so much for watching the show the other night as well. Really appreciate it. Dawn says, "Hey, Morella." Christine says, "Oh yeah, the cupcakes. I actually ordered from the same lady for my book launch party because of those
So
cupcakes."
good.
Oh,
Now,
awesome.
by the way, if I've got this right, let me see how good my memory is. I believe it's May 23rd. It's a Saturday night. The Walper Hotel in Kitchener. It's Christine Grauer's book launch party.
yes, yes.
So proud of you, girl. Julie and I are
Yes.
going to be there.
I'm gonna
Wait.
be there.
Oh, we're gonna see
Yeah,
Karen.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, there's gonna be a few people there. It's gonna be awesome. Dawn says my motto is age is just a number. It is how you feel inside your heart and soul. And on that note, I feel 26. So thank you very
On
much,
that
Dawn.
note,
Go.
I
Awesome.
appreciate
I feel
it.
15.
Lena says it's a horrible feeling, right? Like she's talking about like the stories that you're sharing, and obviously it is. It's absolutely isolation is just it's very crippling for so many reasons. You know,
Good word.
Crippling.
right?
It is a good word.
Lena says exactly. They are guilty. Well, we call them gaslighters, you know.
Yeah.
Julie Strickler says, "Yep, been there." Jimmy says every person thinks that they can raise kids and do things better than you. What they don't realize is that everyone it's different, and something that works for one might not work for others. That's very true.
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
two pregnancies are not the same. You know, two
No.
people can have the flu, but the strains are different.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, and everybody. You know, it's funny, right? When you're looking for a car, everyone's a car salesman. When you're looking for a house, everyone's a real estate agent. When you're pregnant, everybody all of a sudden is a
everybody's- yeah.
Or my personal favorite,
nurse.
when you're a graphic designer and the lawyer thinks they're a graphic designer.
Right.
Stay in your lane. You're a lawyer, right? Am I going to be going to that case for
Are you a lawyer?
No. So you know what?
Stay in your lane. I
Stay
like
in your
that.
lane.
Stay in your lane.
I
like
agree with that, you
Hashtag
know.
Stay in your lane.
Vortex
That's a good one.
says, so glad you don't have those thoughts anymore.
Oh,
We're
thank
all
you.
very happy about that. Julie says, I received my sign through a phone call. Oh, very interesting, Julie. You need to tell us more if you can. Jimmy says, the universal energy was telling you that you are needed and that your life matters, not only for you, but for all the chain reaction that your life makes on Earth.
Yes, the
that is
dominoes.
so well
Yeah,
said. Absolutely. Vortex says, amen. You are worth it. Germalyn, Patricia Barnes is
Love
watching.
it.
Hey, lovely. How are you? We just mentioned you a bit earlier tonight. Hope you're doing well. Germalyn is also taking our January 28th spot on Tuesday night to talk about modern dating and relationships. She's lovely, beautiful family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Vortex says 61. Nah, that can't be. You're younger. She's 32. Okay.
With a 33-year-old.
Just divide it by half.
That's it. Okay, we'll figure that out later. Germalyn says, hello, beauties. Lorena says, LOL, okay, I won't. She is singing because she made a promise.
Oh
That's
my God,
right.
I did.
Lorena-
I don't break my promises.
Angela Tremarki is watching. Hi, lovely. How are you? Julie says, Woolworth diners were so cool, too. I'm aging myself,
I've never
but they
actually
were.
Been,
Yes,
wait,
the
where? What
Zellers
is that?
luncheon.
They were so cool.
Wait,
I
when was
totally
that? What year was
agree.
that? Like, when was the?
Well,
can't discuss
before
that.
Zellers.
Well, what does
Can't
Wikipedia
discuss
say?
years.
1974.
Wikipedia. Wow.
Angela says, hi, ladies. I like Zellers, too. Christine
Zellers.
says, yay. Thank you, guys. You're very welcome. Vortex says, case closed. And then Lena says, you guys are hilarious. Oh, listen, you don't even know. Like, some nights we get on, like, when we start talking about the Tinder tales and the no thanks moments and the
God.
pet peeves.
Do you guys have any no thanks moments?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Like a no
Oh.
thanks moment. Like, oh my God, when you ask for a double but he only pours you a single, no thanks. Like that. Like stuff like that. Things that are pet
When he invites
peeves.
you for coffee and expects you to pay for his, no,
No
thanks.
thanks.
Yeah.
When the guy in
Examples.
Jamaica proposes marriage after knowing me for 0.25 seconds.
No,
no
thanks.
thanks.
No, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's a no thanks moment.
Oh my
That's a
goodness.
big no.
That's a
big
big
one.
no. What did you? What, did
was
you
your
just
song?
look?
What did
don't,
you?
No, I don't do anything. You just exist.
You just? Did you just look at them and go?
Not even that. No.
That's like the time we went on vacation.
In Jamaica.
On vacation.
The guy on the beach in Jamaica, he goes, "Oh, I want to." He says to my grandmother, "I
Oh,
want to marry
you were 18.
your granddaughter," and this and that. I'm like, "Listen, I'm already married back home to Nick Jonas." I was. How old was I?
You were 18.
No,
17,
no.
18?
I was. We went in 2009, so I was like, what, 13,
Oh,
14?
yeah. Oh, that was a
I'm
great
like,
trip.
I'm married to Nick, a guy, Nick Jonas. Like, he's my husband, you know, and he's like, damn it, and he was so mad.
But the
He got
guy
so mad.
that
I was
wanted
like,
to
oh my
marry
God.
you was 30, 40 years older than
But
you.
no
Do a lot-
thanks.
you tell guys that you're engaged. Like I've worn fake engagement rings.
Yeah.
With the, like the fake
Well, he's
diamond
not
things that you
here.
get on Wish.com.
Yeah.
And to them, it's just a
The dollar
challenge.
store.
Well, he's
now
not
they gotta
here.
step up their game a little bit. It's a competition now. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Just, no.
It's like,
There's no
dude,
boundaries
stop.
No boundaries.
whatsoever.
No, my boundaries are the boundaries.
your
Yeah,
boundaries
yes.
are the boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank God I have some.
You know what? We talked about emotional boundaries last week on our show with Victoria, but we always talk about boundaries in general. But I think it's very important to place boundaries, whether they're emotional or otherwise. And I say this from personal experience and I say this almost every show. I care a lot about people. I'm very heart-centered. There's nothing I won't do for people. I am very selfless. But that gets me into a lot of hot water because I end up becoming so emotionally depleted and so burned out from not doing the self-care thing, right? That sometimes we have to be selfish in order to be there for other people. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the lessons that I've learned in my life, actually. Later in my life, but I learned it.
Well, they say
Eventually.
the givers have to set limits because the takers never will.
Right.
I like that.
They're enjoying
Absolutely.
the benefits too much.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
That's why I say it's selfless to be selfish. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
it's
for
true.
sure. Absolutely.
And we have to put some boundaries. Like when the guy calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning, hey, what's up, Julia?
Well, I know what's up on your end, but on my
You put
end,
boundaries.
it's my covers over my head. Good night.
You don't want to come out to tips?
No, I had too much coffee already from the other guy this morning. Okay, I'm just kidding.
But you have to put, it's like expectations, but it's also
No thanks.
expectations on ourselves, right? Do you have any pet peeves of any kind?
Dun, dun, dun.
Other than, crazy drivers, the 401, that kind of thing.
They don't bother me, actually.
They're okay.
Really?
No,
See?
they don't.
Why do me and Julia only find them? I don't know.
Oh,
And
Heather
Heather.
found them today.
There's a sticker on all of us on our forehead
And
that says,
Heather.
"Please hit my bumper because it hasn't been enough time that it's happened on this damn highway." Thanks. Period.
There was a herd of
Ellipses,
cows going
exclamation
northbound on
point,
404.
Thanks.
I like the tailgaters, and then my foot just forgets where the gas pedal
The
is.
tailgate.
I don't
Oh
give
my
them any
God.
warning. I don't brake or anything and risk a rear ender. I just slowly start
slow-
letting off
just-
gas.
just
I'm like,
slowly.
You know what I find? Is this fair to say,
There's
you
6
guys?
other lanes.
I find that in this world of everything rush and everything instant and everything like needing it yesterday, doing it yesterday, I feel like people are in such a rush to get to nowhere. Is that fair?
I'm a mail carrier with Canada Post, and the oh my god,
I got
The
my
stories,
notification.
the slaughter
The slaughter.
that was formerly known as Christmas at our job due to online shopping.
Oh my
And I
God.
have
Oh,
a
I see
question
what you're
actually
saying.
about
Right.
something with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, the
200
online shopping expert over
I'm
there.
not responsible for the tracking.
I just
want to
know why there's an import charge for something that's being shipped from Mississauga.
I don't do that either.
Why is it being imported from Saugatuck? Is there a border I don't know
That's
about?
not my department. I'm sorry.
Tell them
Always
to
wanted to
like
say that.
take it and go.
Is that a
Take it and
border?
go.
Say that's
Is
not
that a
my
border?
department.
I don't know
$40
anything about-
import charges. This is more than the item.
From crossing here, Ontario.
one for
You
English.
tell whoever's in charge and manning the
my
station
gosh.
that I want to have a word with them.
No, but the best part is she's ordering the online shopping. This kid is like the foremost expert. And then all of a sudden there's a bill for $13 or $27 from UPS or FedEx because there's like a customs or import.
there never
I'm
is
like, this
when
is
it's being
coming from
shipped here.
Oakville. Where is the border? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Oh, sorry, we have to get it from Fort Erie, and just so we can charge you extra. Really? Then why is my package being from Oakville to Vancouver and back to Richmond Hill? I don't understand.
That's not my department.
Good questions though.
You tell the person who's in
not my
charge I want
department.
my money back.
I'm just saying that
But
sense
go
of,
on.
the sense of impatience,
Jeez.
right? And we like
To get
I-
packages to people.
when we have our little breaks at work, we call it our Vegas for obvious reasons. Because we're outside the building and what we say stays there. But the sense of entitlement and the coddling that customers expect because everything is just
Right.
like this.
Gosh, yeah.
They want it now. They want it
When
in
they've
prime,
waited
2-day
until the
delivery,
last minute, even though they've known
they
December
order at
25th
11
was the
p.m. on a
same
Thursday
date
and
every
they want
year.
it by 8 a.m. Friday. and
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
But it says
that
if I
way.
order
It's
before
not even
12
just
p.m.
there.
EST,
Sense
you'll
of
get here in
entitlement
time.
That's my
sense
pet
of
peeve. Sense of
entitlement, yeah,
entitlement
it's
around people in
insanity.
general.
Sense of-
And
yes,
what's-
yes. Well, let's talk
everybody-
about that.
Everyone gets really up on the millennials, whatever that time frame is, right? But the people that are complaining about these young people are the frickin' people who raised them.
Right.
Like,
snap,
you're right.
snap.
Like, how does that
Amen.
work, right?
Yes.
They coddled and hovered and did all these things, and now we have all these young people that expect everything immediately and don't know how to experience challenge and don't know how to experience all these other things. And yeah.
I'll take it one step further, if I may. Sense of entitlement in general. So I'm a little older than a millennial, and so one could argue
What are you
that
talking about? We are millennials, all of us.
well, I'm a little older than that, but one could argue that okay, so I've paid my dues. I've been around a long time. I know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. So when I'm in business or I'm having a conversation or something, I think it's safe to I think it's okay to be like, you know what? I know this. I can help you with it. And there's a way to communicate. What I don't like is the sense of entitlement around people that are older that think that they automatically should be respected because they're older and they've got the sense of entitlement of their existence. And I'm sitting there going, that's great, but like, what have you done for people? Who are you? What are you all about? In other words, I'm not saying that I'm not going to treat you as a human being, but I'm also saying that respect is earned. So when somebody walks into a boardroom, okay, like they're my celebrity crush, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. But anyway, walking into the boardroom, like, and they're like, I'm here.
bad.
And I'm just sitting there going, okay, and the sense of an entitlement comes with a sense of arrogance, and I don't like arrogance.
That's the word.
Hashtag no thanks.
Yep.
The arrogance.
Yep.
If I can just say, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear.
All I know is that just gave me a flashback to when I took the GO train downtown Toronto.
Oh, geez.
Enough said. Entitled.
The GO train passengers?
Yeah. This guy goes, excuse me. I'm like, what? It's an empty cart. Okay. This guy's much older than me. He's like, listen, just because you're young doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. And I'm looking at him like, I'm just listening to my music. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing.
Taking up 3 seats with your laptop bag.
But it's
yeah,
not.
go on.
I literally
And
just had my purse around my arm, and it's like kind of leaning on the seat.
Yeah.
But again, there's 80 seats empty. You got to come to me and yell.
How tightly wound. I mean,
he was upset about something else.
I don't know,
guilty
but
of
he
it
seemed
myself.
entitled.
I'm
Like,
not,
this is my
I'm guilty of it
train.
myself. I'm not going to be hypocritical about it, but how tightly wound do you have to be to snap at something so insignificant?
Yeah. And you want to know something? I want to give a shout out to lovely Gary Henry.
Sorry,
Many of
sir.
you guys know
I'm
him.
my stuff.
And he's going to be on our show next month. Gary and I, yeah,
know. Made me feel like crap.
he's great. And Gary and I had a great conversation today. We don't talk often, but when we do, I'm telling you, we have these amazing, very pivotal conversations. And I want to give Gary a shout out because we were just talking about, a sense of self and being in the moment. And one of the things that I've always said, and he resonates with this, and we talk back and forth about our own journeys over the course of years. And maybe it's because I've matured at 20 years old. Maybe I didn't know any better, but you better believe that I came across a lot of people, even back in, my time, that had this sense of, you respect me. I don't care if I haven't done nothing to earn it. You're going to respect me. And a lot of people were very angry, and a lot of people were, this is not the right word, but they, not gravitate, but they're reflecting this anger or this annoyance about what they're feeling to somebody else. And so Gary and I talk about this often, about when people are angry or they lash out or they come in with an attitude, it's less about you and where you are, and it's more about where they're not.
And that's hard
Okay.
to distinguish.
Yeah.
Because the way you feel being around people like that,
Yes.
it's really hard to distinguish that sometimes because it affects you.
It does.
Right? And if
We're not
anybody who
Teflon.
comes negativity, that impatience, people who are snappish or really abrupt with their wording, or it just puts out an energy vibe, and it affects you whether you like it or not.
See,
Maybe later, you say.
I go quickly into interesting point of view. I'll just say that in the back of my head. Oh, interesting point of view.
Oh, okay.
And then the words don't land in me the same way.
Oh, so self-talk.
You know why I think that's so
just
crucial
react.
too?
That's
Because reaction and we react, I react, a lot of people react, but
Yeah.
I think what I react to, and Heather, you tell me about this, what you think. We're reacting to the triggers of how we're made to feel. They're triggers, right? Somebody comes lashing at you, or for example, and I'm just, making this up as I go along, but your boss or somebody that is a higher authority than you, right? You're putting together, working 100 boxes every 20 minutes to get it out there, and you're doing a fantastic job and you're exceeding all expectations. Someone's having a bad day, a bad hour, they come to you and they give you grief about something that's totally unrelated, and you're just like, what the heck just happened? At that point now, I kind of look at it like, before I used to react and I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what the heck? This is BS, because I've done nothing. Where's this coming from? But now in my mind, okay, this is BS, but this is coming from somewhere. And then you try to have a civil conversation to try to mediate and try to understand where the other person is coming from. Because I always feel like somebody's always going through something we don't know anything about.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody's,
Right.
whatever anybody says is just their point of view, but their point of view isn't your truth or my truth, right? It's just an opinion they have, but we've been so taught, or I was anyways, with maybe the way I was just brought up, that you buy into whatever you're told,
Right.
right? And if you're told it enough times and
Yeah.
you grow up with
You
it,
start believing it.
You do.
Yeah.
You start to think that it's real and true, where it's not. It's just somebody's point of view. That's it.
And on that, one thing that I'm still learning, but I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, is that I myself meet other people and other people meet me at their level of perception. So, for somebody else, like for me, I have a very deep, I don't want to say pathological because it makes me sound like a serial killer, but I have a very deep fear. I'm sorry, I've watched Criminal Minds.
I love Criminal Minds.
No, I have a very deep fear of rejection
Right.
and abandonment
I
because
totally
of
get
my
that.
dad.
Of course.
And all the crap that went with it, which, whatever. But it still is deep within me. It still affects my sense of self-worth. It still affects my sense of value to other people, so if I, and my perception, somebody could just be busy doing stuff and doing, they're just living life and doing whatever. But I feel like, oh my God, they've dismissed me. They don't care about me. They've ignored me. They're choosing someone over me. I'm not important to them anymore. And these are all these raging
totally get
thoughts.
that.
And
I
Heather, let me ask
constantly
you.
have to
Let me
fight.
ask you a
So
question,
there.
if I may, and if it's
of
okay to
course.
ask. You use the words rejection. You use the
Oh, big
word
time.
abandonment. You use the word worth and validation, etc. Would you say because of the issues with your childhood, your family, your upbringing, you self-sabotaged relationships?
Big time. Oh, big time. I could have touched on that earlier with when I talk about my dad. It was actually an ex-boyfriend, a very long-time friend of mine who I have the highest respect for. When we were together, he is the reason I wrote a song about it. He says, yo, you have daddy issues. Write a song and get over it.
Right.
And he called me to the mat. He said, you have all these issues around your dad rejecting you all your life and feeling unwanted by him and unloved.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Write a song, make it your therapy. So The Void is a song I wrote about that. And it became like, I still get choked up years later trying to sing this song because it's so deep for me.
Yes.
And it explains everything, how I felt about my dad.
And-
it's called The Void.
And
for a
maybe not
reason.
that song,
Yeah.
but we are going to hear
Yes.
from Heather tonight before the show is over. We're going to listen to her beautiful voice. You putting it down in words, you expressing it through music and song, it helped with your healing?
It gets easier.
Yeah.
The first few months or whatever that I tried to sing it, I couldn't sing it without tearing up or getting emotional, and I still do sometimes, depending on the circumstance. But
Yes.
it's therapeutic. It hasn't changed everything,
Yeah.
right? It's not the magical answer
Yeah.
for everything, but it has helped.
If I can say too, I was going to actually say this as part of my final thoughts, but I'm going to say it now really quickly. When my husband died, people, they weren't as cutthroat as, oh, just get over it. It's not like that. Okay. But a lot of people were just like, you got to deal. You got to be strong. It's going to be okay. You will get over it, blah, blah, blah. And the one thing I do want to say is someone a long time ago said this to me. you don't get over it, you get used to it. Okay.
Right.
And for me, the time has healed a lot of things, but the love is with me. The memories are with me. 30 years of my life are with me. It's very easy when someone can say, just get over it already. It's been 5 years. It's been 7. It's been 10. Move on. But for us who have gone through that pain, that trauma, who have gone through that, those dark days, you don't just pick up
It's part
and
of
be
you
okay.
now. It's part of you.
Yeah. You
It's
learn
part
to
of your new life.
adapt.
It's never going to go away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a fabric of who you are today.
Right.
Karen, it's a fabric of who you are today.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to get to some of the comments. You guys have been great. Julie says, "Oh, Woolworth, late 60s and early 70s." Right.
Oh, we called it the years.
Okay. Robert Moore is watching. Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lena's dying. She goes, "Oh my God."
It's from Wikipedia. Don't worry.
Vortex says the darn 401. Yeah, it really, really
The
is.
damn
Oh,
401.
guess who else is watching? PK.
Hey PK, which by the way, quick plug, guys,
Yes.
please, I cannot stress it enough. Please go to on Instagram right now. Y'all got kids? Do they play Fortnite? Well,
Like mine does.
tired of your kids stealing your card and spending money on Fortnite to buy skins that you really don't want to buy for them? Well, we have a solution for that. So please go on Instagram, go to 21, so 21K period silent PK. All right, I will put in this in the chat area. Okay,
Yeah.
enter the giveaway. He's giving away 2. I said 2, guys. Okay,
2.
1,000 V-Buck gift cards. So all you gotta do is follow me, our friend Luca. His name is very long. It's in the description box. I
Yep.
don't want to butcher it. And PK himself. Tag 2 friends. And you're entered. Winner will be chosen
Wow.
on the 18th, guys.
Wow.
Please.
What an endorsement that was. Holy
Awesome.
crap.
And it's on a story too, so Misfit Julia is my name, so you can go there. Because I'm a misfit and I, used to feel not, belong.
PK,
That's
thank
funny
you
you
so
said
much
that
for
because
tuning
I
in
wrote
all
that
the
on
way
the song
from
for the 25th
Florida.
birthday.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
import charges, exactly, from across Oakville to Richmond Hill, which is about 45 minutes. But anyway, Julie says, it is so crazy now. I only drive the back way to the north. I will not drive the 401 anymore. Like, it's insane. PK says, custom, shaking my head. Yeah, exactly. We've got so many great comments. You guys keep them coming. Isaac says, hello guys. Hey Isaac, how are you? One of our dance friends. We've missed you. We haven't seen you in a while. Hope we see you soon. Julie says it's the same when you divorce. Yeah, and you know what? I appreciate that comment. I know I have a lot of friends who are divorced, and I can't imagine what it's like because I have not gone through that. But what I can do is feel empathy and compassion and understand that people are going through pain that is something very, very traumatic. Just like when someone doesn't necessarily know how it feels to have a spouse pass away, right? And I don't expect them to know. I hope they never have to know, right? But you even if you can't articulate it exactly because you haven't walked in those shoes. I think that the way that you handle that person's pain associated with that loss, I think is very important.
Empathy.
It's very important,
empathy.
right? Like I would never say, "Oh, get over it. It's been 5 years."
That sounds very harsh and
it is.
indelicate.
Yeah, and people that haven't gone through it, that are happily married, let's say, or still have their spouse or not divorced, it's, you know what? I think that to have that level of understanding, I think is very, very important. It really is, because you're already feeling low, and then to have somebody go, "Why aren't you over it already?" Excuse me, I was with my husband 30 years. Like,
anything you're dealing with that creates pain for you, the last thing you need, I'm sure that everybody has enough shame and bad feelings to go along with it. They don't need somebody externally making them feel even more ashamed or have to bury their fear or their pain. That's horrible.
that is horrible, right?
To make somebody feel ashamed of what they're dealing with, it is like, no.
It's so true. And Julie says divorce is a living death. And you know what? Again, here's the thing. My girlfriend said this one day. She said, Morella, she goes, I can only imagine that when you have to see your husband, you have to go to the cemetery, and how painful it is because you can't speak to him. I speak to him, but not in the living sort of physical way, right? When two people are divorced, especially if there's children involved, and again, I have a lot of friends who are divorced, you're not together. You likely still love that person. You've had a life with them, but you can't be with them. You see each other for the course of the kids. It cannot be it cannot be easy. Whereas my husband, he's in a cemetery. I go with my thoughts, I go with my silence, I go with my feelings, my emotions, and I go talk to him, and it's just me and him. But it's not like Julie says, it's a living death in the sense of my own trying to deal with it. But when the two people are still alive and well, and they've got this angst amongst them, I can't imagine that it's very easy. No, do you know what I mean? Anyway, guys, so it's almost 9:30, and we've been at this for almost an hour and 15 minutes, which is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for the comments. It's been absolutely amazing. Before we get into the final thoughts, I'm going to do a little question and answer out of our panel, starting with our co-host at the end of the... oh my God. What can I say? Julia, so we talked about vulnerability tonight. We talked about anxiety. We talked about fears. We talked about fearlessness. We talked about owning our power, right? What would you say has been the single biggest aha moment for you to get you to this point where you're like, I am worth it, I am enough, and I got this?
So, going through depression, at the time I felt out of place, just didn't belong, just shouldn't be there, should be here, should be anywhere. And I felt, this is how I describe it, I felt as if I'm the color blue and I fell on top of a grayscale image, and it doesn't belong. It's a black and white image. But getting through all the tough times and realizing that, you know, those negative people who pushed me over the edge, negative thoughts, negative situations, bad things, those things are there. It's a rough patch. But the stuff that's actually important is the people who are here. So my mom, sister, and the continuing support from my friends, and also learning to love myself. So when I realized that, you know what, I'm happy I'm the color blue, because I ended up making that black and white image into full color.
Thank you. That's where my mind went. That your blue was needed on that gray.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that is the answer to my question. To the question.
I love that. And you know what, guys? She's my kid, so I'm a little biased. But when I think about Julia, I think about a splash of pastel colors on a white canvas. She is not a white canvas. She is the canvas where you splash the colors and it comes to life. And I think that the only person for a while that didn't see it was Julia. But you see it now. And we're all so happy that you do.
Just remember that abstract paintings have gone for millions of dollars.
There you go. Nice.
She's not saying I'm being sold. I'm just saying.
That's exactly right. So that can basically...
Worth $1 million.
Yes. So Karen, Heather, you guys as well. What would you say to everybody where you know, you guys have... I mean, we only scratched the surface tonight, but where you've been through so much, you've got layers to your story. What would you say... has been the single catalytic moment where you're like, I'm here, I love myself, I'm worthy, I got this?
Wow. Okay. I don't know. Let me think.
Not a hard question at all.
I think probably the moment I realized I was no longer suicidal. Okay?
Yeah.
And it was gradual getting to that place, but every September is International Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. September 10th is the day. And I've always, for a number of years, wanted to do something for that day, but never could because I felt like I'd be a hypocrite. Like, how can I promote this and do this when I'm still thinking this? Right. And then a couple of years ago, I had the strength to do something. And when I realized that I could offer, like I offered my services to people who were struggling for free for that week.
Yes.
And now I've done that for 3 years in a row. And the first year was a little tenuous. It was a little bit rough. But so 3 years ago, September was when I went, okay, I am here to stay. I'm worth being here to stay, and I can do this. Like, I can do this. And so it would have been that. Getting ready for that event was the time that said, yeah,
very
okay.
powerful.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That's a round of applause right there. We're doing a lot of applause tonight. Because that's how we roll. What can I say? Heather, how about you?
Okay. I've been thinking and thinking, and there's still like,
There's so much.
right.
so
But to try and narrow it down to one thing, I think because I spent so many years feeling unworthy of love. Especially, I made some horrible choices in as my daughter will attest. I'm sorry, Danny. To my bad choices in relationships because I didn't know what love was. I think the biggest whammy for me and the biggest growth spurt for me is to not hand my self-worth definition to anybody else.
Right.
Because
Amen.
it was always external. I always
Amen.
looked to somebody else to make me feel worthy.
Right.
And I've taken that power back, and I said, I am worthy. I am me. I'm random. I'm quirky. I'm stupid. I'm, whatever I am, I'm me.
Random.
We
I'm
love
random.
you.
Actually,
Random.
it was
I
my
love it.
friend Dawn that actually dubbed me as random because I just randomly send her stuff, or I randomly come up with some crazy saying or some vibe or whatever. She's like,
love
you
it.
are so random. I said, I love that term, and I
Awesome.
adopted it.
Random.
I absolutely
like
love
that.
that.
It's very fitting.
I absolutely love that. And you know what? You took your power back, and no one can take it away from you unless you give it to them.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
And that's
Right.
not to I still feel that way. Like, it didn't magically cure everything. It just means that I
course.
don't rely every minute of every day on someone else to make me feel worth anything.
Exactly.
But I still have my days where I wonder, if something happened to me, would anyone remember me the next week? Like,
Right.
I still
Right.
have those times where I
Right.
wonder, like,
Yeah.
how forgettable am I? Like, am I,
You're not
You know what?
forgettable.
No,
but
honey,
I
I don't
still
think you're
have
forgettable.
those.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
I
of
do.
course,
I
of
suffer
course.
depression and anxiety, and I
And it's
still
those
suffer
thoughts
those
of isolation that
Yeah.
we. Yes.
I lay down at nights, more times than I could ever care to admit, and probably my closest friends are looking at me right now, going, "What the actual are you talking about?" How many times I lay down at night wondering who would even miss me if I'm not here.
I'd miss you.
But
We all
it's
miss
it's,
you.
it's just
But it's
in the
true.
back of
I-
my
I
head
know.
all the
You
feel the
time.
same, Karen.
And I
Yeah.
fight
Not
it
anymore,
constantly.
but I did have those
Right.
thoughts
I fight
constantly.
it.
Like that. So that was encouraging
Yeah.
to go because like
Like, I don't want to act on it. I'm
No,
not,
but
but
it was just
you
like,
have
well,
a different
who
level.
would miss me, right? Like,
But I do think that all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right? And I fight it
feel that
every
there's
day.
been no impact.
And you know what I
right?
feel is that sometimes when we lose self-love for one another, for ourselves, it is so easy to let all those thoughts creep in.
That is tragic.
That is very
It's
tragic.
one of the most tragic things I've witnessed, and I've been through it myself and recovered enough,
Yes.
not 100%,
Yes.
but enough to recognize it in other people, and
Yes.
it's sad.
It really is. But you know what? I have to tell you guys, I thank you. First of all, you guys have been so powerful, so fierce, fearless. I told you. Before we get to sort of at the end, Petra Grant is watching. Lovely
Hey,
Petra.
Petra.
How are you? So great to see you on here. Julie says this has been great. I am so glad that I tuned in. Thank you so much. Lena says awesome show. Lena, thank you so much. Petra says I love the topics you ladies touch on. Life changing. Thank you so much. She says love is a process. It's trial and error. We have to live it to learn from it, which is absolutely for sure. Julie says paradigm shifts have taken place. Absolutely. So guys, before we end the show with Heather doing a little ditty and possibly Julia joining in if she likes.
I don't know Diddy.
I don't know him either. I think he's married to Kim Kardashian. But anyway,
no, that's Kanye.
what I want to do.
right?
Yeah, P. Diddy's not married.
Oh, Kanye. Yeah, sorry. I get P. Diddy and Kanye West
Why
confused.
do I know
but anyway,
that?
why? Yes, I know. But why do I even know P. Diddy and
I
Kanye
don't
West? I think it's pretty
really.
cool. But what I want to do for my final thoughts, I want to leave you with something, if I may. It's very short, but it got a lot of positive feedback. I posted this a couple of days ago, and I would like to read it to you guys as part of my final thoughts this evening. Okay. I posted it on Facebook. I haven't talked about mental health in a while. It doesn't mean I've stopped advocating or raising awareness or sharing my voice or challenging companies to do better to promote mentally healthy workplaces. There's no place in our society for bullying, for discrimination, for ignorance. There's always a place, however, for kindness, compassion, and understanding. Triggers are everywhere, and people are putting in the work daily to overcome mental health issues that are associated with trauma, post-traumatic stress, depression, and many other things. No one needs more unnecessary hurdles to contend with. We need to set the example for people of all ages on social media and off. And if people have nothing positive to say, best to move it forward. We all work together for the betterment of business. Why wouldn't we do the same for the betterment of each other? So on that note,
Amen.
I want to thank you guys all very much for tuning in tonight, to our loyal supporters,
Thank you.
to our family, to our friends, to Frequency 5FM, to Maria and Joseph, most importantly, to my co-host, Julia Scalise, to our guests tonight, Karen Leslie, Heather Linus Lindsay. You guys were amazing, amazing. Absolutely amazing. And before I pass it over to Heather, I just want to say a couple of quick notes. We are back here next Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern Standard, with Kim Bassler talking about health, fitness, the mental mindset. Please tune in. It's going to be unbelievable. And next Thursday night, we've got a couple of wonderful ladies also joining us, continuing our series of Inside a Woman's World. And it's Thursday nights, 8 o'clock. And of course, there's a whole bunch of events coming up and other things that we're gearing up for. We'll be making some special announcements. So thank you guys so very much. We appreciate all of you, and have a wonderful evening. And on that note, Heather, over to you. Over to you.
They're making me sing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about time, girl.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought about it, and I'm just going to do a little bit of The Void.
Okay.
Because that's the one we
Awesome.
talked about. It
yes.
was my
So
catalyst,
honored.
my therapy
So
song.
honored. Yes.
All right, let me just...
Go do it. Yeah.
All right. They say the opposite of love is hate. That's not exactly true. The way I've lived, I can debate. I've had some time to contemplate. That indifference is way more cruel. You were the void. Your silence was deafening. You were the void. Did you care I was suffering? You were the void, the elephant in every room. You were the void, kept me buried so I couldn't bloom. Who the hell were you? Who were you to shape the kind of life I'd live? Who were you to be that self-doubting voice inside my head? You were the void, your silence was deafening. You were the void, did you care I was suffocating? You were the void, the elephant in every room. You were the void, kept me buried, I couldn't bloom. That's part of it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. That was unbelievable, Heather. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful voice, beautiful message. Thank you so much.
That was when I got called to the mat. Said,
Wow.
you have daddy issues, write a song and deal with it. I said,
Absolutely
"Okay."
beautiful. Thank
Thank
you
you for
so much.
sharing.
You guys connect with
Nice.
Karen
Thank you.
Leslie, Heather Linus Lindsay. They are on Facebook. They are on Instagram. Again, thank you guys so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful evening. I can't wait for our jam to come on. It's one of my favorite parts of the show, and we're just going to enjoy the next couple of minutes. Thank you so much. Have a great week. We will see you back here next
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Take care. Thank you.